Welcome back to another video. It's been a while. The world has changed. Not for the good, man. Not for the good. I hope you've noticed a theme through my videos. A lot of my music reviews and the albums that I talk about peace. Because that's what music brings me and that's what music is all about. It's unfortunate that human nature is such that they feel that war, all these thousands of years later, that it's somehow still relevant, it's still required, is a myth. It's a myth to me, and it's very unfortunate. Anyway, I'm going to talk today about Meatloaf. So Meatloaf's real name actually is Lee Andy, I think it is. I gotta look that up. Anyway, and of course Meatloaf is known for Bat Out of Hell. Did he do a few albums before this? If he did, I don't know of them. I know that he did another one after this many years later. Now, this album in particular, Bat Out of Hell, I got to talk about the production behind this. So this was produced by Todd Rundgren. Todd Rundgren, excellent producer. If I told you the albums he did, you'd know a lot of them because he did some great stuff in the 70s. So Rundgren did this with one of the other musicians with Meatloaf, Jim Steinman. Steinman played some instruments. I can't remember if Meatloaf wrote the lyrics to this or not. But if you know this album, you'll know that it's a very showy piece. It's like a Broadway play to rock and roll, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't like musicals. I don't like Broadway or plays that much, although I've been to some plays, but I don't really dig them. But this album had a way of portraying that through the music that was actually very cool. It was an album, I think it was an album of substance. I think there's some great some songs on here. Bat Out of Hell, You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth, Heaven Can Wait, All Revved Up with No Place to Go. That's one of my favorites on the album. And of course, Paradise by the Dashboard Light. Everybody knows that song. It's an album that I think at the time, like Rocky Horror Picture Show came out, I think around this time, was it 79, 1980 maybe? This is 77. It was kind of a thing. And I think that this album, if it was 2 or 3 years prior to 77 or 1980, 81, I don't think it would have flew because it had the vintage 70s rock with that kind of artsy stage presence. And so I like it. I think it's a good album. Is it still relevant today? Yeah, to an extent, I think. I don't think it influenced much. And I don't think that, the second one had some tracks on it that were okay, but he became kind of a mushy ballad guy. But there are tracks on here that do really rock. Meatloaf, I remember Meatloaf when I was a little kid. This came out when I was in kindergarten, so I was really little. I remember some of his stuff on the radio, probably like in the early 80s. He was still very popular. I talk about Meatloaf too because, he just passed away. Unfortunately, I'm surprised it wasn't sooner. I mean, he was a giant man. That's why he got his name Meatloaf, because he was a big hunk of meat. That's what his friends called him. So, and I was fortunate enough to see a lot of interviews with Meatloaf, and he was very a matter-of-fact kind of guy. He just said his view, and if you liked it, you liked it, and if you didn't, well, fuck off. Who cared? And I kind of dug that about him. Anyway, great album. Coming up next, I've got, you know what, I'll just do it now. Fuck it, I'll do it now. So I'm going to talk about, one sec. I'll get their albums. Do I got another one? Yeah. Yes, right there. That's what I'm going to talk about. Kiss. I loved Kiss growing up. I really did. I think that their music is, kind of in the same vein as Meatloaf, I guess. They were showy on stage, for sure. But that gimmick of the makeup, and the art rock, I never really liked, I don't like a complete Kiss album except for maybe Destroyer. I really dig Destroyer. I thought it was a fucking awesome album. They hit it out of the park with Destroyer. But before and after that, it was kind of like maybe 1, 2, sometimes 3 songs of an album. But I wasn't a big fan of the whole album. Now, when I was a little kid, I had like the Kiss dolls, the collectibles, and all that kind of stuff. God, I should have kept them. I don't know how much I get now. So to me, as a little kid, they were a gimmick. But as I grew older, I was kind of into the music, well, not into it, but the music that they did after the makeup, which would have been, I think, the 1980s when Unmasked came out, and showed them all their makeup. So, you know, I started listening to them after that, but when I went back to their old stuff from the 70s, I really, really dug their music. And, you know, I gotta say, the albums that I have, like, fuck, I do enjoy them. Kiss Destroyer. This was 1977. A lot of great albums came out in 1977, like Meatloaf, the one I talked about before. You know, there's not a bad song on it. Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, God of Thunder, Beth. Beth is a great ballad. I mean, that's one of the best rock ballads you'll ever hear. It's very sad. I love it. Shout It Out Loud, Sweet Pain, really good album. Dressed to Kill. Now, this is an interesting album cover. I'll hold it up there. Now, look at Gene Simmons. So he'd be, I think, at the far right. It doesn't fit. The suit doesn't fit, right? But it's called Dressed to Kill. They had to make an album cover, so they put them all in suits. The other guys had suits for whatever reason. Gene didn't. And he's like 6'7", 6'8". He's a huge guy. And so the producer of the album said, well, I got a suit, I'll bring it in. Threw it on him. It's awesome. I gotta laugh at that. Now this is one of those albums that's got one or two great rock songs on it, and that's about it. Rock and Roll All Night, of course. That's really about it. And Dynasty. This was Kiss's attempt at disco, in a way. It did have I Was Made for Loving You. I love that song. I think if Kiss was going to do a disco song, I don't think they could have done it better. Did they sell out with it? I don't know, maybe. Tough to say. I think at that point in time, I think that would have been about 79. They could do whatever they want, I figure. They influence a lot of bands. I mean, a lot of bands do what Kiss do with the explosions. Their stage shows are where it was at. I was fortunate enough to go to the, it would have been 94, 95. It was the 25th anniversary of the Destroyer tour. And with the cherry pickers and everything, exact same pyrotechnics, exact same stage show, same set list. And for the early 90s, mid 90s when Kiss did it, they're still in pretty good shape, right? They're around 50-ish, right? So they rocked, man. It was a great fucking show. Everything blew up except them. It got so crazy with all the explosions and fire that when Peter Criss came out and he put down this backwards, like an upside down garbage can to sit on to sing Beth, the sweet ballad, I thought it was going to blow up because he walked back off stage to get something else, and we're all looking at this thing going, I thought it was going to go kaboom. But fantastic shows. Kiss Live. Look them up on YouTube from the mid-70s. I would say Kiss Live 1975. Watch that. Anyway, great band. Love Kiss. All right, so enjoy your Saturdays best you can. Again, it's really unfortunate what's happening, but I don't know. Bad period of history. But we will get through it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And one on my camera that's a little bit too bright. I got to find a different shade for it. All right, until next video. Peace.